Hello, and welcome to Wine with Weeda, the podcast that is dedicated to engaging with health professionals and caregivers in meaningful discussions. I'm your host, Rita Shamoon, or as my clients call me, Weeda. I'm a pediatric speech pathologist, and I am so excited to have you here. Each week, we deep dive into connecting you with caregivers and healthcare professionals, sharing their insights, stories, and key takeaways to help you with your child's diagnosis and your journey. Whether you are a parent, healthcare professional, a lifetime learner, or simply a wine enthusiast, you're in the right place. So let's sit back and relax and enjoy today's episode. Hey everyone, this episode of Wine with Weeda, I'm so excited to be joined by Michael Sawan, the host of the Comeback Blueprint podcast, and a true story of resilience. At just 25, Michael thought he was a healthy and living life to the fullest until a routine day revealed a life-threatening heart condition. He underwent urgent open heart surgery, faced cardiac arrest, a stroke, and even months after grueling rehab, he relearnt how to live, think, and even make a cup of tea. Through it all, Michael discovered that comebacks aren't cinematic or instant. They're messy, human, and built from perseverance and courage. Today, he shares his journey, the lessons he's learnt, and how he turned a near tragedy into a blueprint for hope. Grab a glass of wine, settle in, and join me as we dive into Michael's incredible story on Wine with Weeda. Michael, welcome to Wine with Weeda. Such a pleasure to have you here today.
Pleasure to be here. That is a very humbling intro. Um, sounds it's different when someone says it about you instead of you having to write it all the time. So thank you for that. That was very humbling and an absolute
You're,
honor to be here.
you're so welcome. I think it's so important that we listen to other people's feedback because we get so caught up in trying to be better and thriving to where we need to be that sometimes we don't look back to see how far we've overcome.
Yeah, yeah. Like making a cup of tea. So
Or drinking a glass of wine.
drinking a glass of wine. Yeah. Have you got a favorite, by the way? I've never asked you.
I do actually. I'm a white girl and
Okay.
I love Chablis. Have you ever had it?
Haven't had it. I'm not a
It's a
fan of
French
wine,
wine.
but I can appreciate French wine. Absolutely.
Yeah. A Chablis or a Sauv Blanc?
Sauv Blanc. Yeah, that sounds more like my wife. Okay. But
Yeah. I find white really heavy.
yes. Yeah, very sugary and fizzy.
Just thick. It's like heavy. It's heavy on the stomach.
Yeah. Is white botrytis? Is botrytis a white wine?
You know what? That's even though I'm wine with Weedo, I have no clue.
No, that's all right. I
Maybe the Hunter Valley can sponsor this episode and take
Yeah, I
take me
think
to
they'd
a
have
wine
to
tour.
because I'd like to plug their 20 port. I'm a bit of a port fan. Um,
Okay.
it's a funny story behind that. So I love port, and you and I, we are churchgoers, and I'll have
Mm.
my communion. Always got the nice port aftertaste, and we all know about that. Let's be real.
So why do you go to church?
So yeah, we should all go to church. That's for sure.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
when my son so my son is 5 now, but when he was conceived, we'll use that correct term, when he was conceived, we traced it back to a trip that my wife and took to the Hunter Valley in the previous year. And um, and of course, as you can imagine, I drank a fair bit of port there, and somehow we still got pregnant. It was all fine, no problems. He was born beautifully, but he was born with a birthmark on his chest that the doctor called a port wine stain.
No
No.
way, really?
And we just laughed. We just love. It's a beautiful birthmark. He's a beautiful boy, but yeah, it's called the port white stain. It's a common birthmark. That's why he was
Yeah.
so quick to give the name. And I was like, well, now that you mention it, Tawny is a bit responsible for that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Did you call him Hunter?
no, but I love the name Hunter.
You should have
Yeah,
called him Hunter and then it would have been perfectly
I'm a
aligned.
traditionalist, so I named him after my father, and you're not going to
Of
find a father
course.
called Hunter in the Arab family. But
You're never going to get
although they
Hunter in
are
the Arab family.
yeah, just a little side story there. I thought it's worth mentioning since we're talking
I
about
love
wine.
that.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, like you had the print of the port and then you then created the blueprint of your comeback. Like, see how everything just
It's
aligns?
all it all aligns. It all aligns, and you know, I love what you said. You know that the comebacks are raw and real, and they're not Hollywood esque. We love a high look
Mm,
at because we love a good info story, but I think emotionally we're becoming a bit more intelligent. And you can read the writing on the wall and say we're not all Rocky Balboa. I always say that because that's the most common comeback story. Rocky one,
mm,
two, three. What is that? The Rocky 10. But it's just they're real stories. They just it could be anything. I don't want to plug my podcast too much or anything, but I've spoken to recovering alcoholics. I've spoken to people who nurses on the scene, and
mm.
paramedics on the scene. Sorry, wrong word there. People who have just gone through real trauma and are just trying to make the most of a tough situation. That's what this is
Yeah,
about. So,
absolutely.
all power to you and your podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, when we hear the word stroke,
Mm,
I think, as a society, think an older person, a person in their late 40s, 50s, cardiac arrest, like they were in their late adulthood. And to hear that a young, thriving, healthy young man at 25 experienced a stroke, cardiac arrest, and had to go to rehab in the speech pathology world when we work with adults, that's on the lower end on the demographics that we treat. And when I heard your story, I was like, what? How does a healthy bloke at 25 have a stroke? Do you want to share the moment that your grandmother gave you the instinct or even the drive to go investigate what was going on with your health?
yeah, yeah. Well, just to add to that, it was my grandmother and then my mother as well. I should plug her too. And like it takes a village, right? Especially
Hmm.
in our culture. But my grandma would have just it's I've written this in my little story about what happened to me. But at 25, you're healthy, you're fit, you're invincible. You're a little bit selfish. You take a lot for granted. One of the things I took for granted was my grandmother loved to be a helper at home, so she loved to do everything. She could cook, she'd cook. She'd love to clean, the sheets and your clothes. She just wants to. She wants to be busy. And
What's that word? Language of love.
language of love, right? And you're like, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
and sometimes I'd give her little tasks that really weren't a big deal, but I just wanted to make her feel badly. Like she'd be like, oh, I'm going grocery shopping. Like, oh, can you pick me up X kind of meat? I really would love some. And it's like it wouldn't matter if she didn't get it, but she made a point. Like she bought me this meat, and I'd cook it, and she'd be like, "Oh, you did a great job," And so, she took pride in that. One of the things, as I mentioned, she did was she changed my bed sheets every few days, right? She just loved to do the washing, and she did that. And of course, me on the go, I just took her for what it was. But there was just some instances where she'd bring up that she'd be like, she's saying this in her native tongue to me, but she'd say, "Look, Michael, every day I'm looking at your bed sheets. I walk by your room. Your room stinks." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just the boy." No, 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 it really stinks. And I just can't see how. I don't understand how. Like, I will change your bedsheet next day. It's completely drenched. What are you doing? She
Would
didn't
you
get.
smell it? That what she was describing?
I'd smell it, but I took it as my own
Your stench. Yeah,
way
yeah,
of
yeah.
me going, "Okay, I stink. I'm a 25-year-old guy." She's like, "I could smell it from downstairs. That's why I had to come up and change the bedsheet.
Yeah.
It was that
Mm.
much." And then she'd say in Arabic, it was so drenched, like it was just drenching,
Like heavy. Yeah.
heavy. Like she picked the sheets out, she's like, it was just drenched. And the pillows would turn a different color because of so much sweat. So it's not a pretty sight. I'm not selling myself well here, but she clearly,
Look, you're married. You don't have to sell
yeah, I
anything
was going to
anymore.
say, I wasn't going to, I'm single at the time. It's not something I want to put on my bio. Um,
I smell, ladies.
I smell ladies. Ask my grandma. She cleans my sheets
You
for me.
don't need Hugo Boss when there's my own fragrance. Sorry, continue.
No, that's good actually. You're a natural. Um, but look, she picked up on that, and so I started to just slowly pay attention to things, and then I put it down to okay, this is what it is. I go to the gym, I come home, I have a shower, I'm still sweating when I sleep. That's all it
Mm.
is. I was a late gym goer, so I said that. Then something else started to happen. So, but after she said that, why that's important is I started to pay more attention to things around me, just in case there's something else. So I was very attentive to if it was the day after the gym. Okay, how bad did
Mm.
I sweat? Was another day. Something else that started to come up was that I started to notice that just in my resting at night, right, my heart would be throbbing, we'd be pacing, bing, 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 bang, bang, bang. And again, I just put it down to I've just come from the gym, you know, it's normal. Like my heart is going to be racing until I sleep, and then it'll settle down at
Could you
some
fall
point.
asleep with that heart rate?
I could though. I could
Yeah,
because
fascinating.
I was always tired. I was always tired.
Mm.
Yeah, right. So I was always tired. So you do your workout, your heart's racing, you make peace with it, you sleep like a baby, you wake up the next day sweating, you get on with your day, and that's the cycle. Um, but I started to notice that, like on a rest day, or if I just didn't go to the gym for like 3 or 4 days, I'd be like, I'm sitting there at my office desk, when I was in marketing, I was sitting at my office desk, and I'm just there looking at the computer, nothing stressful. I mean, this is 2011, right? We're not as stressed as we are now. Everything's chilled.
Mm,
But my heart just starts racing. I'm like, what am I stressed about? And so one day it was a throwaway conversation with my mom. It's just telling her, listen, lately, these are the things I've picked up on. Grandma's mentioned X, Y, Z. I've noticed a lot of, these weird irregularities in my heartbeat. Um, what do you think? Like there I'm at 25 asking my mom what she thinks. So I'm just having a conversation with her. And just for some context, my mom had me at 17. So you can imagine growing up, we're pretty close in age. So
mm.
there's a lot of trust there. I'm talking to her like I'm talking to a big sister. So I
Yeah.
can have those conversations with her. And so
And
she's
because
like,
mums know everything.
because moms know everything. She's like, Mikey,
Yeah.
you should go to the doctor for that. She didn't panic about it. She kind of was, it wasn't even a throwaway statement. She's like, you should go to the doctor. But the way she said it was like, just go to the doctor.
Yeah.
So I took her for what it was and I went to the doctor and it was my GP and I hadn't seen my GP for a few years. And I remember the last time I saw her was I thought I had tinnitus. Like this is me being a drama queen. And
What's
she being,
tinnitus?
tinnitus is that constant ringing and throbbing in your ear.
Oh, the ear. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
some call it tinnitus. I thought it was tinnitus, and
That's
then
yeah, yeah.
we worked out that it was well, if you say tinnitus, then I think tinea. Is it tinea? The foot one?
Isn't tinea like a foot thing?
Tinea?
Yeah,
That's
like
what
a
I mean. So
fungus?
like, tinnitus just sounds a bit more
Yeah.
credible. Um, you know,
Just call it the
don't you
ringing
ever,
in the ears just to be safe.
yeah,
I should know this. It's not
I should,
tinin it starts with T-I.
is it
Tinnitus or
tinea?
something?
No, we're gonna do a bit of
Anyway,
research.
I have to Google this because I
Yeah,
feel
Google
quite
that. I'll tell a
uncredited
story.
because I should know this. Ear ringing.
Ear ringing, isn't it tinnitus?
It's I don't know if that's the one.
Type in tinnitus, Tinnitis.
Tinnitis.
Yeah,
Tinnitus. Yeah, you're right.
tinnitus. It's just I thought it was tinnitus. I guess maybe the Aussies say it like that. I don't know, but
Oh,
it's
look,
tinnitus.
tomato, tomato. We all know it's ringing in the
Tomato.
ears. Yeah. But
So
it
that's where
wasn't
I
that. It wasn't the ringing in the ears. It was something far more alarming than that.
it was more alarming than that. So she puts the stethoscope on me, the old school doctor. And just to give you some context, she's look credit to her, but she's from old world, so she grew up in Egypt. She's come here,
Those
so
gotta love those Gyppo doctors. I think every doctor is
I'm married to
Egyptian.
an Egyptian woman. There's one at every corner. It's actually a blessing.
Yeah.
But
I have to take credit. They're great doctors.
they're great. And you know what? Like the Egyptians, the way they've just come here and made it work. They're dentists, they're doctors, they're radiologists,
Lawyers. Yeah.
lawyers, and not to downplay any other profession, but it's like that's what they want, that's what they get. So
Yeah.
good on them. So I was blessed to have one, I guess, part of the pack, and that was pre-marriage. And
Yeah. Yeah. And now you're married to one.
um, excuse me. She put the stethoscope on me, and then she mumbled a lot of words, and half of it's in Arabic, half it's in English because that's how we spoke.
Mm.
But she said, "Look, blah blah blah, blah, irregular heart." Like I was hearing words like irregular heartbeat, I don't know, arrhythmia, like things like that. Blah blah blah. I'm going to write you what is it? A reference. You're going to speak to Doctor Macaulay at St George Hospital. Blah blah blah. I won't go into details too much about the place, but anyway. And I took her for what it was. It was probably like I think it was a Saturday. She was open on Saturdays. I took her for what it was. And then I think I had it in my bag or something, and then oh no, I put it in my car, and then this is where it gets a bit funny. So I put it in my car, then I drove to work one day, and I left it on my desk. So for whatever reason, I was driving to work and back, and I was working in the North Shore. I live in the Brighton area, so it's a bit of a
Yeah.
distance. Sometimes I
Distance.
drive there, sometimes I catch a train. I left it on my desk, but I'd made the booking to go see the doctor on a Monday in December. And I remember I was going to forget about it. It's just something irked me. And I was in the North Shore that weekend and I was like, oh, I've got to see a doctor or something about something on a Monday. So I drove to the office, had keys to get in, got the referral. To cut that story short, the next day I go to the cardiologist and, he introduced himself and everything. He said, well, okay, I'm just going to check as the doctor checked himself. And he said the same thing, and he already sort of hinted heart operation. He didn't say it completely, but just based on the stethoscope, he sort of hinted heart operation. He said, I'm just going to send you in for an echo right now, an echocardiogram.
Mm.
And we're going to, obviously it's where they get the machine and they just, check around and everything. And I get there and I don't know if it's what's the title, the sonographer or whoever does the echocardiogram. So, you know, the whole
We
time
all
I'm
know.
trying
Yeah.
to, we all know, right? So, I'm just playing it down. The whole time I'm trying to be funny about it. That was just my nature then. I think it's sort of my nature now anyway. I was just trying to be funny about it, like, oh yeah, me, just a stressed kid playing at the gym, too much trouble, blah blah blah. And I remember cracking jokes at this doctor friend. She did not budge. Like she was like her eyes were fixed on what she was seeing on the screen, going, "What on earth am I seeing?" And
Mm.
then halfway, I think I was telling a joke or something. She dropped the. That was like out of a movie. She dropped the reader and she just ran out. And she just ran out and disappeared for a minute. I'm there just overthinking things. Keep in mind, it's 2011. It's not like we have iPhones and are looking and see
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, I don't know. She comes up because you need to see the cardiologist now. So, I wiped myself down, put my clothes back on, and went to see cardiologist. She's like, yeah, it's as I suspected. Your aortic valve is dilated and you're going to need to have an heart operation. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to remove your aortic valve, and I'm still trying to go, what on earth is an aortic valve? And so it's the valve that pumps blood into the heart. The valve that was pumping blood into the heart had dilated,
I'm just going to
and
interrupt you there for a second.
yeah,
I remember when I was 25, I was looking at Sports Girl at my next outfit to go to Roxy or wherever I'm going, right? Or for dinner with the girlfriend.
yeah,
How did you comprehend that 2 days ago you were lifting, I don't know, 40 kilos
120
to
kilos.
then 20 kilos to then,
100,
living life
yeah.
to probably hanging out with the boys to then hearing terms aorta, surgery, open heart. It's like, what? I didn't, the expectation from me sweating so much, I didn't think it would be related to that. So, what was that like for you in that moment?
I thought at that point at 25, I lived the colorful, accomplished life. I'll tell you why. Just that year alone, a lot of things happened so fast that I was like, I've actually lived a pretty accomplished life. I'm up for the new chapter. So, for example, I finished uni, got my degree. All right. So, to anyone going to uni, that's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
I secured a job with a major bank, one of the big four, and
Mhm.
like that was a great thing in itself. My beloved Dragons had won the grand final, and I attended. I thought I'd never see the day, so I got to see that. I'd come back from a 6 month stint in America. I took a little working visa, and I traveled to
Yeah.
America, and that's something else I'm grateful I came back for. Clearly, because if it happened in America, it's a different story.
Mm.
So to me, I was like, I've lived it, and I've done a lot of traveling in between. I was like, this has been fun, and I was just like, I'm ready for. And I put a lot of weight on America because like God forbid they have a healthy meal, at the corner somewhere. Um, so I'd come back, and that's why I was training intensely because I was just like, I've got to
To
lose
burn
all this
off that.
weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got into the point where I was like, I was happy with myself in the mirror. I was ready for the next steps, and it was we're heading towards Christmas. I just secured a marketing role with the company. I've been there for 3 months, and it was one of those solo marketing roles where you're not the manager, but you're kind of the manager, and you have a say in everything. And I
Yeah.
was like, "This is boss. Like, this is what I want. This is great."
Mhm.
So for me, the trajectory was like, "Oh, I'm headed to where I want." And a year from now, I'm completely set. Everything's good. Just find what I need to settle down. Like I had all these things. It's like I felt
Everything you tick the box.
yeah, which I didn't even know I
Mm.
was creating a checklist. But I was like, if I look back on it, this is accomplished. Little did I know, like the last 15 years have been even better. But anyway,
Mm.
um, that's another point. So I was just like, I was hearing, and so funny story. Um, I went to the. I'll fast forward this doctor bit, but I want to answer your question in a different way. We went to the doctor, the cardiologist, and I went with my dad that day, and he told me exactly what needs to happen. Right, so you need to have heart surgery and all that stuff. And they're going to replace your valve, and you're going to go on blood thinners because your valve's mechanical, so it needs blood thinners to ensure there's no clots and all that stuff. And then I think a day or two later, I go with my mum, and we see the heart surgeon. So this is different to the cardiologist, and he explains the process again and all that. And I remember, because you said, where was your mind at 25? I remember saying, cool, sounds good. Do you mind if we do this at the end of summer? Like even January or something, because I really love the job I'm doing now. I'm doing this massive video project with them. I don't want to stop. I just want to get done. To me, I was so focused on doing this little job. I was like, surely we can postpone it. And he actually said, yeah, that's fine. We're happy to. I'll book it for, and he put a date in January. I reckon it was the middle of the January. And he said, we'll do it then. So Christmas will come and go. Everything's going to be fine. And so I think the next day, so this is all happening in the span of 1 week. So in the next day, I'm at work. I'm doing this on-site video project. Actually, I remember the project was being done at my house. It was an on-site video project. I'm having a lot of
Mm.
fun. My mom's there. We're having a chat. I get a call from my mum. She's like, Mikey, just letting you know, I spoke to the heart doctor and we've moved your operation to this week, which would be the next day.
I'm just going
So,
to interrupt there. I love your mum because
yeah,
I kept thinking,
she's a
I
legend.
just kept thinking if my daughter
Yeah.
was telling the doctor to postpone or put aside their health because of a job for work, in Arabic we say, "بدي kaf," like I want to smack you. I would look at my daughter saying, are you normal? Your health is far more important than a job. So your mum said, you know what? Let this boy think he's going to do this job. I know better and I'm going to take this in my control. And God bless her
God bless
and
her.
good on her for doing that.
Yeah, no, good afternoon. Because you're right. I thought I was immortal. I was at the gym. I was
Yeah.
benching 120 kilos. I'm like, this is fine. Like, there's minor heart surgery. I'll have a sexy scar at the end of it. We'll move on, right? So I'm just
Add
like
that
this
to the
whole.
profile.
Oh, wait till you tell me. Wait till I tell you about the scars. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. So obviously I tell my boss what's going on. He's like, yeah, you're right. No worries. All good. So I was gonna say no, right? So yeah, I think it's like the next day or something. It was like a Friday, which is the day they have the surgeries at the hospital, and it was like, yeah, okay, we'll get you prepared. So it was all fast. Like normally with these, there's like a 5 day prep for an operation. You've got to like, you know, wash yourself with certain soaps and all this stuff that you have to do. If you're gonna,
Mm.
all that stuff. For me, it was like straight away. So clearly, even they picked up on how urgent this needed to be. Um, so I go into the heart operation, and one thing I remember that everyone remembers is they were doing a video on how the surgery would be, and they showed you how they're going to cut you open, and they don't do keyhole surgeries like they probably do now. I think a lot of heart surgeries do keyhole, I'm sure, but they had to cut you open, and they're going to like replace they'll yank out this valve and replace it with a new one, and sew it back up, and it's like an 8 hour operation. And I remember everyone's face in shock, and they go, Mikey, what do you think about that? I said, that's all fine to me, but and this is where I've got this weird like an OCD or something. That's all fine to me, but what really annoys me is they said they're going to stick this tube right down my neck here, and do you know how irritating that's going to be? Like, and they're like, you're going to be out the entire time. Really? Because like I might feel it and wake up and hate it. Funny thing is, I've got a scar from that little thing, so I've always reminded of my silly situation. It was just to
I
monitor
don't
my
think you
heart.
really assess the seriousness of the situation here. Like you're
No, I'm
having
just like,
open heart
you get
surgery,
so
yet you're more focused on the scar and a project. Like, let's get
yeah.
perspective here. Yeah.
Perspective was missing in my life.
Yeah.
That's the takeaway from that. So the surgery happens, and from there it goes a bit funny. So do you want me to continue with that story? Is that
Yeah. So tell me, so you're on the surgical table. Actually, when is this? Because this isn't
no?
January
This
time.
is
When did your mum book
December.
it to?
This is today, December 16th, 2011. So today's my anniversary of my operation.
Oh my goodness. If we can talk about alignment, it's
Yeah,
now the 16th of December, 2025 at 12 o'clock. And it marks how
and
many years?
well, it was 2011, so I don't know, is that 14, 15 years?
13, 14 years, something like 14
Yeah,
years?
and it
Yeah.
was around this time
And
I was
today's
going through the
14 years. And what a
yeah.
privilege for Michael to share his comeback story 14 years later on Wine with Weeda. Oh, Michael, the gods are aligned. This is brilliant, man.
Yeah,
Awesome. Awesome.
so it was
Okay.
December
So you're on your mum booked it for 16 December as opposed to January. And you're everyone, I can as being a Middle Easterner, everyone's praying as they do, and everyone's there at the hospital, hoping it's all successful and you come out clear cut so that you can enjoy Christmas dinner, Christmas Day with your family, because
correct,
that's a priority, right?
correct.
Talk about you're in the theater space. What happens?
In the theatre space, I'm slowly going out because I've got the anesthesiast working hard overtime to get me to pass out. And according to his recollection, and now it's funny how things are starting to come back to me now. But now he's telling me, I remember you were selling me concrete ceiling products as you went under. I was like, yeah, that's what I do for a living. I market concrete ceiling products. So clearly, even at
You
the
weren't taking
final
it
minute
seriously,
before
man.
I was like,
You're like an
yes, that's what
opportunity. Let me take it.
start paying back my surgery. It'd be great. So
Thanks, concrete slabs. Ceiling, sorry.
that's all right. So concrete seals. Anyway, I went out and I was out, and the only thing I remember was at some point in my because they do the operation, you go into ICU, and I remember, like, the doctor came to check on me. I was so out, and I think I remember trying to shake his hand and get up. Like, don't get up! What are you, ridiculous? You just had heart surgery.
Mm.
Because I'm out for a few days before you can actually sort of start to communicate with
You're
anyone.
in ICU probably.
Yeah, and ICU. And look, it's funny, when I was there for about 7 days, I was discharged. I think I was discharged on the 22nd of December. So I remember the anesthesiast, the guy who I was trying to sell concrete products to. He comes to me and he's like, because all the doctors come and they do a routine check on you in your recovery. And my mum was there, and she was saying, "You won't believe what I saw was in there." Like, and he was telling me, "Oh," he's like, "So basically, an aortic valve, right? It dilates slowly over time as you get older because we're adults, right? And so if you get to about 5 centimeters, you should have operated a year earlier. That's how important it is to operate." And my mum goes, "And so how wide was his?" And they go 9 centimeters. So I should have been dead. Apparently,
Yes.
the fact there's no way that someone with a 9 centimeter dilated aorta should be walking around bench pressing 120 kilos every day. But I was bench pressing like a nut
Mm.
job, and I was getting barely any sleep, and my heart valve should have exploded at any point. And I remember him saying, "Had you actually waited till January, you wouldn't have made it.
Wow.
So you should have had the
God bless your
operation."
mum.
God
Yeah.
bless my mum. A lot of Yeah, look, a lot of relief at that point, and I get discharged a
Mm.
couple of days before Christmas. I've got this nice, sexy little ticker here, makes a lot of sense. I've got my little iPhone. I finally get an iPhone. I'm like, "Oh yeah, look, I can record all this. This is great." And tick, 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 tick. This won't drive me nuts for the rest of my life.
Mm.
So it's all well and good. And I remember Christmas Day, or was it the day after? So it was the day after Boxing Day. Boxing Day, I remember a few things about Boxing Day. My sister's birthday is on Boxing Day, so our Christmases are always extended.
Mm.
It's not just Christmas Day. So Boxing
Christmas
Day.
Eve to, like, New Year's Eve.
So pretty much, like, it's that blind period. It's like, what's going on? So my
Mm.
sister's birthday on Boxing Day, and obviously we're not doing a big hoo ha because I'm in recovery. And I just remember watching a movie on TV, having a laugh, and um, then all of a sudden I blacked out. And then I wake up and I'm in the foyer in my parents' house. So I went from being on the couch in the living room. There was actually bought a chair for me, a proper chair for me to sit in, to just somehow waking up in the foyer that was the front of the house, and everyone surrounded me and crying, and like I could hear someone calling an ambulance in the background, and someone saying, "Mikey, hang in there." Um, what happened was that there was a lot of fluid buildup from the operation that just hadn't been drained properly, and so it had basically flooded my heart, and I was struggling to breathe. And I
Mm.
must have either gone to the bathroom or something, but somehow I ended up passed out in the foyer. I get rushed to hospital, um, and they put me under again, and they've got to now put like tubes in my stomach to drain out all these fluids. So you can add more scars now. It's like tubes of like going in. I think 4 tubes it was. Yeah, definitely. And they've drained out all this fluid. But now they have to keep me because I have to get my blood thinner levels, my INR levels back on track. Because if you remember, I'm
Mm.
on blood now, so I rely heavily on making sure that those levels are balanced out so that I don't have a stroke. So they end up keeping me for. So I come to a few days later. It wasn't as bad as obviously having the heart operation, but it was very painful. Um, and I spent about 2 weeks in hospital at that point. I've missed New Year's is at the hospital. I remember my dad sent a text, "Happy New Year's, Michael." That's very important to me because my dad has only ever sent 3 texts in his entire life.
Yeah.
So that was one that I'll never
That was
forget.
serious.
That
Yeah.
was serious. Like, he never messaged like, "Oh, that's nice." I remember that
Yeah.
text. And, it's funny because I'm celebrating with people who are in their 80s, because no one in that ward has had a heart operation, at the age of
Yeah.
20. Like, there was an old lady next to me. Her name was Rose. I'm pretty sure she's passed away now, but she had an operation too. And there's a guy called Con who was a very old man as well. Like, so I'm celebrating with this new audience. I'm like, yeah, cool, different to my group at the gym, but
Yeah.
I'm happy to be alive. Um, and then so New Year's passes, and people have come. They've started to visit me, which has been great. Um, and then I get sent home about 5 or 6 days into the new year, and they're like, "You're good to go. Your blood
You're
levels
good.
are
Mm.
yeah, you're good to go. Your blood levels have sorted themselves out. Everything's good to go." I think it was around the 6th or the 7th of January. So I get discharged and I'm good to go. And then apparently a few days later, and this is where it will start to get blurry for me. My memory's still trying to come together in this one. So a few days later, apparently I just remember for some reason I'm in an ambulance again in my front yard. I don't know how I got there. Apparently I just wasn't feeling good, but this time I was more responsive. I remember my neighbor going, "Hey, haven't seen you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hope you're okay." And I'm like, "Oh, hey, Paul, how are you?" Not knowing how I got there. So there's these moments where I'm just blacking out, and I end up in the floor, or blacking out and end up in in the ambulance. Um, but I was in the ambulance, and then I remember going there. It's apparently just the 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 blood levels weren't regulating properly. So there was just moments where I was like, just really I'm passing out because it's not responding well to the medication's not responding well to the valve, the mechanical valve.
Mhm.
A few more days pass. Everything's back on track. Pleased to go. Nurse, doctor, everyone says we're good. We've checked everything. There's nothing wrong with you. Absolutely fine. You can go home today. I was like, yay! Finally, I get my life back. I get my salary back. So
Mm.
January, Friday the 13th of 2012 was my discharge day. Right, Friday the 13th of
There's
2012
nothing wrong
was
with Friday 13. I was
nothing
born
wrong.
Friday 13.
God bless. I was born on
Yeah.
a Monday. I don't know. That's because I love hard work. So for Friday the 13th of January, doctors are like, good to go, mate. You are absolutely fine. We can assure you everything is good. Cool, no worries. Mum and dad said, we're just going to get home. We just want to get a few things ready for the house. Probably want to buy some food, just groceries without having to
Groceries,
worry.
yeah, 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 all of
Yeah,
that.
so they want to make sure that I'm at the hospital so they can do everything right. No worries. A friend, so something I did is I kept texting people I hadn't heard from in years, just saying, keep me in your prayers, keep me in your prayers, and all that stuff. And I have to say, some of the responses were so heartwarming, especially people I hadn't heard from in years, just saying, "We wish you the best. We're praying for you." And I started to get visits with people I hadn't seen in ages. But on this particular occasion, my parents had gone home. It was like middle of the day or something, and this friend had been texting me all day. I didn't know how serious she was. She pops in. She's like, "Oh, you're still here." I'm like, "I haven't seen you in 5 years. What are you doing here?" She's like, "Look, I was in the area. I wanted to check up on you." So I hadn't seen this friend in 5 years, like really, and we only hung out a few times. I would say we only hung out like maybe 3 times in total. The fact that she came and
Mm.
showed up was incredible. It's like, oh look, it's great to see you. I'm really getting sick of this hospital. Can we go out and get a coffee? She's like, sounds good. I should preface with I think I was cracking a lot of jokes and my heart rate was through the roof because I was so happy to get some company. Um,
Mm.
she goes, okay, let's go to the cafe downstairs. I said, sounds good. I get up, and as I'm starting to walk to the exit of the room, by the way, I think I'm in my own room at this point, so it's just me. As I
Mm.
come to the exit, I'm like, oh, I don't feel good. And she goes, oh, you're right. At this point, this is her story because I forget everything at this point. I don't remember a thing. She's like, apparently, I said, look, I don't feel right. I need to sit down. And she goes, okay, go sit down. So I sit down on the bed, and then I go, and because I've got a smile on my face whenever I talk, it's just one of those things. I go, I think I'm having a heart attack. And she's like, again, this is her
I'm
recollection.
sorry
She's
for
like,
laughing because
no,
I'm
no,
just
but that's the thing.
visualizing
I
it.
said it in such a funny way because I'm always smiling that she's like, oh, seriously, no time for jokes. I go, I'm seriously having a heart attack. And apparently after that, I just stopped sort of responding to her. So she presses that emergency button on top of my bed. Nurse comes in. I'm having a heart attack. Before you know it, all these doctors, like there's like an extra emergency button, like all these doctors swarmed in. She's kicked out of the room completely. I've gone into cardiac arrest on my bed. And as your preface says, I went into cardiac arrest, um, had a stroke in the process. It all happens at the same time. Was declared dead for something like 3 minutes on the bed. So I actually was flatlining. I flatlined completely for 3 whole minutes. And then came to, and then apparently had another heart attack again. So I don't know if it's a collection of
Wow.
both flatlines. Well, actually, I think the second was more just the second heart attack, and then I came to. I was in so much pain and everything. I'd passed out. Um, they had to cut me open there on the table again to obviously manage the heart attack. So I had like a second scar next to the other scar. They cut me open, and then they did what they had to do, and they sent me straight to ICU. Like they obviously operated me then and there, and then they sent me to ICU, and I was out for 7 days. And
Wow.
um, yeah, when I came to, my life was just not the same because I came to, and ask anything you want on the way here, but when I came to, everything was just not making sense anymore. And so what happened was they're able to do some scans of my brain and my heart and everything while I was out, and they picked up that a few issues were going to surface that they wouldn't know until I woke up. And one of them was going to be my vision. They said, look,
Mm.
he's got some vision to his damage to his eye. We don't know if it's fully blindness. We just don't know. What we won't know till he wakes up. And the other thing they were concerned about was memory retention and how much I remember of my life. And so the funny story is like, like I remember waking up in and out going, oh my God, I'm in China. Like I was convinced like
Mm.
the Asian nurses meant I was in China. And I think one of the most heartbreaking moments of my mum was one time she walked in to check in on me when I was coming to, and I thought she was a doctor because she was in scrubs. And I was like, "Oh, excuse me, nurse or whatever, could you please?" And she's like, "I'm your mum," So
Mm.
she's not processing. People would walk in and like I'd have these thoughts going, "When did my mum become a doctor?" What's like I just couldn't figure out what's going on. Um, and then there were like instances. So one of the things I tell people is about how when I was out, I had those out of body experiences where I actually started to I was hanging out. I'll say I was hanging out now with people in my life who passed away. My grandfather and my grandmother. My grandmother on my dad's side, by the way, not the one who was alive at the time. And when I come to, I'd say to everyone, "Hey, listen, can you just tell grandma to come back inside?" And they're like, "Which grandma?" And I'd say most of my dad's mom, like, "She passed away like 3 years ago. What are you talking about?"
Wow.
And then I'd be like, "Why is grandma not waving back at me? Grandpa, why is grandpa not waving back at me?" And they'd look over there in the corner. There's nothing there. And like, grandpa passed away 2 years ago. Like, what's going on? Um, but I think they were like angels there, just sort of saying, "You're all right. You're in a
We've
safe
got your
place.
back.
We
Yeah.
got you back." So,
I
so
just want to reflect on the journey there. Now, I'm looking at from the lens of a 25-year-old and as a mother and as a parent that the doctors not necessarily they downplayed the severity of your initial concerns, but it was just so casual. Yeah, yeah, we'll just book an operation to then being discharged to then passing out on Boxing Day to then being discharged again a few days later. And it makes me question, where was the missing piece? Was this the universe saying, we haven't found the cause here? What was your body telling you? Yeah. And then the guardian angel, which is your friend, came, had the conversation. And thankfully, I believe she was there for a reason, just to push that alarm bell. Because if she wasn't there, who knows who would have checked up on you until the
never know.
alarms went off. You just don't know, right? And then you had that out of body experience. I'm just so curious as what was the missing piece? What was the reason? Was it there's just too much fluid, or it wasn't aligning with the medication?
This is regarding the eventual stroke and heart attack.
Yeah, why the continuation of constant medical issues when they were discharging you? What was going on?
My understanding of it was that there was a blood clot somewhere traveling in my body
Okay.
that just
Yeah.
hadn't hit the right or wrong place, should I say.
Yeah.
And so they just weren't able to pick it up. But this blood clot had obviously formulated, I'm assuming, sometime after the surgery, major surgery
Yeah.
itself. And every time they come to check on it, it would just, it's done a runner, it's hidden or whatever.
We
And then
can't find it.
eventually,
Yeah.
yeah, eventually it just made its way to my brain, um, which led to many other problems. But you're absolutely right. It's like everything was just aligned. Like it was my mum that pushed the surgery to be sooner.
Mm.
It was my friend that showed up to hit the button. It was my ancestors, my deceased family that were there to give me comfort to say everything's okay.
Yeah.
It was my grandma that was like, "What is going on with
So your
you?"
grandmother with the smell, and then your
Yeah,
mum changing the appointment to
yeah,
then celebrating your sister's birthday,
yeah,
to then the friend that showed up, to then you
yeah,
having that out of body experience speaking to your past relatives, your grandparents. Like it's such a powerful moment that would have shifted your perspective to what you had 3 months ago of I want to deadlift another X amount of kilos and finish this project to I need to really recheck my life right now and what my values are and where I want to move forward.
yeah, absolutely. And that
Mm.
also doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow burn. Like when you come back,
Mm.
because your first thing I'm trying to do for the next few months is make a cup of tea. My
Yeah.
just the basics. Like I had a wonderful assistance from the guide dogs. I had a lovely,
Yeah.
lovely girl they called Lisa, and she's a good friend of mine, and we've stayed in touch. She even came to my wedding. She's a brilliant person, and I had the guy. So I didn't actually have a dog, but she actually like walked me to the train station, helped me buy a ticket, walked me to my job. Like she,
Life
had
skills, yeah.
life skills,
Mm.
and it was just like at that time, like I really am thankful for it. But at that time, it felt too humbling as a 25-year-old. Going, why do I need this chaperone? But then it was like,
Mm.
if you let me alone for a minute, I wouldn't know what I'm doing. So the reality hits the moment you question, why am I getting help? Um, it took
What did
better.
rehab look like for you? Firstly, before rehab, what did they diagnose? So you said partial blindness, some memory difficulties. What was the actual diagnosis? Was it called aphasia for the memory
No,
side of
not
things?
aphasia. No, no.
No?
Unfortunately,
Okay.
I don't have the Bruce Willis thing going on there. Poor guy. No, it was. I can't remember what they want, but they just said basically that his long-term memory was going to be an issue, and his short-term memory was going to be an issue. So it was like
Mm.
I got the best of both worlds because you have people that just forget what happened 2 minutes ago, and then remember everything from 10 years ago. But my problem with my brain was that it was now a labyrinth because
Mm.
I woke up thinking things like I was still at school. I woke up thinking things like um, I'd never gone to America. I was planning to go. It just hasn't happened yet.
Sure.
Yeah, it was like the the layout of how everything was working was just in a different format everywhere. So it was so scrambled. Like, what do you mean I've got a degree? I haven't even finished school. What are you talking about?
It's like a puzzle was just scattered everywhere and it wasn't coming
Oh,
together.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, what do you mean the Dragons won the grand final? Aren't we going next year? Like, aren't they on the way up? So just things like that. You went to America for a few months, like, and I'm like, what? When did I ever want to go to America? So and then the one that hurts most because the one that broke me down was when my grandfather was like, he passed away a few years ago. I actually broke down because I'm like, the conversation I had with him in the out of office experience was so real. So then, like 2 minutes later,
Mm.
yeah, it's like, what on earth is that? So I broke down, actually. I remember crying at that point. I think I cried so much I passed out. So,
Yeah. That would have been
yeah,
really heartbreaking to witness as a family member, to think
yeah.
the son that I had 4 months ago who we were laughing over, but to get whatever the reason is,
He was the biggest
to
smart
then
ass.
reliving these
Yeah,
experiences and little smart ass of my son who I have to somewhat retrain again or reteach again. What was that experience like in rehab where you know what you could do a few months ago to then thinking, "Gosh, I need someone to teach me how to buy a train ticket." Like, did that impact your ego at all?
yeah. I did have an ego prior. Like, I was not innocent, but I had an ego, and it was so like, so the rehab room, for example, there was no one my age. There was
No,
and
much
it's
older.
and we're talking 70, 80.
Yeah,
I've got a hip replacement, that kind of rehab, right? They're the rehab rooms. I know one guy that was close to my age, but we're talking like mid 40s, like that. It's 20-year difference.
that's still not even close, yeah.
Yeah, he had issues. I think he had stomach cancer removed or something. He had to do some rehab. It's not even close. So it was very humbling. And I guess what helps is that I grew up, closely with my grandparents. It's not like I'm unfamiliar with being around older people, but it was kind of like you're right. Like I was bench pressing, at the local gym in where I live, right, and everyone around me is my age. To I'm now trying to push 10 kilograms with people who are like 3 times my age. It was
Yeah.
very humbling, but for good, for good. I think the whole thing's been a blessing in a way. Going to work was so frustrating. I have a lot of respect for particularly the boss that at that time understood my situation and was patient with me because I went from like designing marketing plans that would go on for months pre ChatGPT, don't mind you. So they were actually like
Yeah,
intense,
yeah, quite detailed. So
quite
probably
detailed.
learning how to turn on a computer.
I'm now learning how to turn on a computer and go to my file on my computer and find my documents, and that could take forever. And my boss is,
Mm.
he's like, I've got a million things I need to do. So
I
I think
think the
that
message here I want to share with the on the audience of Wine with Weeda, even though this podcast is for specific kids with disabilities, I think it shows the power of adversity, and the importance of understanding that life is so precious and it can be just instantly changed no matter how old you are, how young you are. And we all know that, but until you're faced with it within your family. And I think your story here, Michael, really shares that
Yeah,
yes, I'm that regular 25-year-old doing what 25-year-old guys do, and your life can change instantly to the point where you reflect on your career choices, who you are as an individual, and what you want your life to be. In that moment, so as you said before, you said, well, you're ticking all the boxes, had the best job, looking better after America, losing weight, now to find a girl to settle down with and have the kids, like, that to-do list.
yeah.
After your that quite a traumatic experience, how did you view life in that moment?
Um, that's an interesting question because I still think I remember in the hospital, I had a lot of time to myself,
It's a lot of reflection,
a lot of reflection,
and
and
you
I could
couldn't use your phone
record.
to scroll. Yeah.
Yeah, and back then, 2011 or 2012, sorry, I mean the phones didn't have much going there, so
Yeah.
it was the same three messages. I just looked at again and again, but um, time was. It's interesting because reality didn't really kick in until I left hospital, and so I was there for 3 months. And I could be so ambitious. I came up with these great ideas of things. Sometimes I forget what they were, but I came up with all these great ideas of things I was going to do when out of hospital. And I started to develop this plan and blah blah blah. And oh, I have this idea for a business I want to run. This is going to be fantastic. And then I'm going to do so. It was just so like I had time to be ambitious and daring. And then, like I said, you get to the work on your first day and you don't know how to turn on a computer, and then it just goes out the window. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't even do what I
Your
have to do.
reality catches up to you.
Oh, big time, big time. And
Mm,
I just want to just reflect on something before I forget. You mentioned how like it was a shock to the family, and I want to talk about your patients and their parents, right? You're
mm,
generally talking about parents with kids who are under 10, right,
yeah.
or something like that, right? This is this is parents who are retraining a kid at 25. Like this should be something they should be thinking retirement or something else, or oh, am I gonna walk? Am I gonna meet his future wife? Like that kind of thinking. Like
Look after
the
his
mindset.
grandkids in a few years. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And it's like at 25, like they're already tired. They've
Yeah.
gone through, and they've got I've got other siblings too, so they're already tired as it is. And now they've got to actually look after this big adult in their house. I can only appreciate when you compare it to again. I don't want to devalue anything, but yeah, when you're talking about you've got parents who have kids that are 7 or 8, that's hard in itself. Now imagine the kids 3 times that age, and you've got to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
teach the basics again. My
Parenting
mum,
never ends. Yeah.
like I want to go into the corner shop and I just wanted to be an adult. So I was like, I want to go to the corner shop and just get something, like a ginger beer or a Coke Zero. And my mum would have to walk with me all the way down. And she's like, it wouldn't be a bother to her, but for me, it's like, oh, here we go again, walking my
The
mum in public.
inconvenience. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to reflect on that because that was something that now I wish, like I appreciate it now more than ever. But when you're in the moment and you've had your ego shattered, it's a rude awakening.
It's a beautiful reflection to your gratitude and testament to your parents who have, yes, they raised you, but the strength that it took them was unmeasurable to help you get back on your feet. And it would be very hard for parents to do that, but I don't think they would ever question why, because of the unconditional love that they had for you or have for you.
Yeah, you're so right. It's they were like, what's next? Where do we have to take him? What hospital do we have
Yeah,
to take
I
him?
love that. It's the
What's next?
power of the love. Yeah, love
Yeah,
that.
it is. Oh, we'll get him with the guide dogs person. Oh, okay. He needs to align himself with a return to work program. We'll get the right people. We'll take him
Yeah, and mind
because
you,
they were going to.
NDIS didn't exist back then,
It didn't. It did
so
not
they would have
exist.
forked out a lot of money for your rehab. Yeah.
Yeah, although I think fortunately because what happened to me was in the hospital. The hospital also paid for
Oh,
it.
oh,
So
there you go. Thank you, the
that's God
government.
working with me there. Yeah.
Was it Gladys
They
back then?
no, I
No,
think who was it? Was it
who knows?
was it Keneally?
Morris Yema?
I don't know. Or was it Barry O'Farrell back then? I'm
Look,
not
who
sure.
knows?
Who
Who
knows
knows?
who
We just
knows?
have gratitude for that.
I just have gratitude, and to be honest with you, it's I am grateful because again, it was just the fact that they set up all the hospitals like okay, when you leave, there's all these programs set up for you to go, and
Yeah,
you'll be fine. But obviously, there's different forms of coming back. It's not just the
yeah.
physical and the memory. There's an emotional toll as well that a psychologist can't fix.
Yeah. There's lots of trauma. I'm interested to know if any young person who's just listening without a diagnosis is listening, what's the message you want them to understand from your own life experience to help them have a better mindset for the future?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I would always say this one, and I want people to understand this is not to offend. It's you don't know everything. You're not invincible, and just
Yeah.
own it. Own your humility, and just read the signs around you. And I'm not saying we're all walking around with health issues. What I'm just saying is that there are people in your life that come and go. Pay attention to them. It's very important. Um,
Why?
because they are all part of a bigger story that they're basically complementing your all some cases supplementing chapters of your story that help you advance and like again that friend from 5 years ago or I guess now
Yeah.
20 years ago who was like I was happy to dismiss but she actually held on to a text I sent so obviously I meant something to her that she
Yeah.
showed up like she didn't have to it's like
Yeah.
I'm saying 5 years get lost
I think
um
the message you're trying to say is appreciate those who show up.
yeah it is they
Yeah.
showed up
And never take for granted for those who show up for you because you just don't know where they'll take you.
No. I mean, my grandma, like,
Yeah.
she didn't say anything to insult me. She just genuinely cared why was I sweating. And my grandma, like, never drove in her life. In the last few days, she was on a walking stick. Caught a bus every day to come see me in the hospital on her own. Didn't wait for permission to go with mum or dad. Just went and did it because it was like, I don't want you to be alone there because I don't know what could happen to you. You could have
Oh, I
another heart
love
attack.
that.
And she's
Theta.
being
You
dramatic,
can
but
never
she's very right.
underestimate a theta's love.
Teta's love, no. And,
Theta's love.
cornerstone of our family she was. And
Mm.
Um, yeah, very grateful. So yeah, my message is that it's the people in your life, value them, um, and just yeah, again, you're not invincible. Just read the signs and pay attention to your body.
So you
Uh,
were a go-getter, ticking off the list, deadlifting or bench pressing, trying to, get that summer bod back. If you could go back to September when you were 25, before your incident, what would you whisper to yourself then, knowing what you know now?
just slow down
Slow down.
because if you slow down, you become more aware.
Yeah.
And I think we live in a world, especially now it's 2025, where we have to justify our existence by being busy.
Yes.
Um, we do, don't we? Even in your own
So
job,
true. Even as this whole women movement,
you've
um,
got to be busy.
women can do it all. Women can be mums. Women can be. I'm speaking from my own personal
I know,
experience.
I'll let you
You
say it.
can't
Yeah.
do it all. You can with support, but then
Yeah.
really reassess what can you do within your own capacity, right?
Yeah.
We can do it all, yeah, but something's going to be unbalanced. And I think your message here is slow it down,
Yeah, what's
be
what's the difference
balanced.
between what's the difference between like now I guess as a almost 40-year-old it's like I get the same value as of going for a nice long walk that I would have bench pressing 120 kilos. It's not going to kill me. Now I'm
Yeah.
not trying to just negate people who want to bench
Yeah,
press.
yeah. I
My point
love
is,
that though. No, yeah, I get that.
yeah,
Mm.
I get the same value. It's me time, and I
It's
feel
funny because this morning I've been so tired because I've had a busy weekend and my daughter graduating. And I missed resistance class at 5 o'clock this morning and I was kicking myself. But then I had to shift my mindset. That extra sleep I had was my body telling me to slow down, rest. Because if I pushed myself physically just today, I don't know the impact that would have been on for tomorrow. And I'm going for a walk after this. So still, even though I'm still moving, but I love how you said slow it down. And just because they say you have to do it all, doing it all actually can most likely cause more harm because sometimes when you slow down, you reflect, you notice the things that you never notice when you're rushing.
being busy is not a badge of honor. Self-respect is a badge of honor.
And can I
So,
just say,
yeah,
I just had this vision. What a beautiful moment and life changing perspective. You were in the ward with people that have had decades on you through life experience. What did you learn from them? That would have
um,
been such a remarkable conversation.
they were just like I had one guy who probably about 60 something. Like we're talking 2012, right? So people like Aussies and Wogs were a bit different back then, and they were very proud of themselves. But I had this one guy who was just like I said, his late 60s. He was happy to be bench pressing what he bench pressed, and he was just proud of it. And he wasn't like bothered by the fact that he was. I think he didn't have heart surgery. He had something else. He had something done. I think he had like work on his leg. Had like they'd work around his back.
Yeah.
I think he had a leg operation, he had to put stents in or whatever he had to do. And he's just owning the moment. I'm like, man, that guy's not bothered by, his
I
situation and
love
stuff like
that. Yeah.
yeah. Like I went in going, I'm 25 and I'm bench pressing with these people, but as I evolved, because I went to this place regularly, I was like, Barry, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. What's happening? How's everything going? So it was humbling and it was nice. And like I said, I think
How
it was
authentic.
it was, and it was complemented by the fact that I grew up close to my grandparents. So I was
Mm,
appreciative of people who are of a different generation who were just trying to make a go of things. It's like
yeah.
that guy could have just not gone to the gym. He could have just rested on his own, sat back and said, you know what, the hell with it. Like about this operation I'm doing.
Mm,
He wants to own it. You don't
yeah.
get that every day. People going to the gym again. This is just my observation is they're going in invincible and they're there to impress themselves and impress those around them. These people were just looking at another chance at life.
Yeah.
And it's like I've been given that chance, and I was like, I want to take that forward as well. Like,
I love that. And I think what a beautiful, like I just celebrated my birthday and someone said to me, "You're 40. Do you know how many people wished to live to 40?"
yeah,
And to me, I was like, that is such a remarkable perspective shift that so many people wanted to be where I am in terms of age and health, but they just couldn't. So, what a beautiful blessing that I'm still standing, being able to do and function in society. And not to be so focused on, well, how many deadlifts can I do or how many weights can I press? It's not about that. I'm not here to impress. And I think that's what when you're hitting 40 next year, and I think you've got that
yeah.
now, Michael, your life isn't about impressing others, but more making a better version of yourself. Yeah.
It's not. It's not. It's I'm yeah. Like you said, I'm 40 next year, so that's 15 years almost. Um,
Mm.
and since it happened, and my thinking about work is that it's a means to provide for the family. I don't
Yeah.
care what my job title is. It doesn't have to have
Yes.
marketing manager on it. I just use marketing. I like marketing. I don't want to get myself in trouble here. But it's all at the end of the day, it's a means to provide.
Yeah.
And when you can tear it down to the most primal rationale as to why you work, I think you can
Mm.
enjoy things a bit better. It's
Yeah.
you work to live, not live to work.
Live to work.
So,
Yeah. 100%.
and
100%.
that's something that maybe at 25 I didn't see. It was like, work was my badge. This is what defines me, and going to the gym defines me, and being able to stay up late defines me with the boys, and and date and all that defines me. But what defines me now is actually just my persistence and my determination to care for my family. And I do my podcast because I want a chance for people to come and be real about themselves and say, you know what, it's not colorful, it's not pretty, but it's real, it's authentic, and there's a purpose behind it. And I just want to know what is your purpose behind it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you've created a wonderful platform on your comeback podcast, comeback blueprint podcast.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a celebration of life, a celebration of why we're here, celebration of adversity and the real life that we all live. And as we said previously off air, hearing hardships, hearing how people have overcome them, make them more relatable and make them more understandable so people can see their own lived experience through someone else's story. And what a celebration you have had here on Wine with Weeda, Michael. This young 25-year-old 15 years ago who thought the world was in front of him through the gym, traveling, so forth, so forth. But that really turned quickly to show you the purpose of life, the meaning of living authentically, the meaning of what is your purpose, but also what you choose to live by. And I think many individuals don't even understand that yet, and they're much older than you. So, what a privilege, and not necessarily a privilege, but more like a blessing that you overcome this and have come across with it. So, thank you for coming on Wine with Weeda and sharing your story of resilience, which I respect so deeply. Now, before we finish up, I ask all my guests, because speech pathologists are full of words, if you were to be a better version of yourself tomorrow, Michael, what word will you apply to yourself today?
Hmm. If I was to be a better version of myself tomorrow, what
What
word would I?
word would you apply to yourself today?
Consistent.
Consistent or persistent?
No, I am persistent, but I
Okay,
need
so
to be
consistent. Okay.
consistent. Yeah, I
And
need
how
to.
so? Consistent in what?
I'm persistent in that I want to do well and I want
Mhm.
to make a change. Sometimes I think maybe I don't want to blame everything on what happened to me in the past, but I think sometimes I can go into a lapse and go
Mm.
on a different path and lose sight of things. And so I need to be consistent in my own routine, in how I deal with work, how I deal with family. Um, for instance, like you said you got up, and you took a walk and you found, right? So I need to be consistent on my health. I think sometimes
I
I'm
think
just
you are being consistent though. I think we put this pressure on us to be consistent on what you think you need to be. But the fact is, just because you didn't miss the work doesn't mean you weren't consistent with putting your health first. You're doing other things.
you're finding other things. Yeah. Well, then
Because
maybe
I
it is
keep
just
hearing you say, I need, I need, I need. Rather than saying I need, say, I did. I did. Don't be so hard on yourself.
okay. All right, I'll take that free
You've,
lesson
you've,
from you.
you've had a lot of it. You've overcome a lot. So I wouldn't push yourself if you just did something that you thought you needed
Remember,
to do, but you
there's those
actually
old
didn't.
school values. Yeah, it's the old school values. You still got to do more sometimes. But like I said,
Yeah,
I think just showing up is so valuable. And you're right. Like I found other ways to get
yeah.
things done. So
Absolutely, absolutely. If people want to listen to your podcast, I'm just going to see the Instagram hashtag. Do you want to share it actually, Michael? What's the hashtag? Oh, not hashtag, the handle for your
look,
Instagram? Is it the Comeback
yeah,
Podcast? The
no,
Comeback
the comeback
Blueprint
democrat
Podcast?
podcast. Yeah,
Yeah, I've got it here. It's called the Comeback Blueprint Podcast. It shares real stories, real struggles, and real comebacks. It's been amazing. I've listened to a few episodes and they're incredibly inspiring. So I'll put also in the show notes Michael's bio and Instagram handle. But if you want to have a look, please visit yourself and look at it. Michael, you have been a pleasure. It was such a great way to celebrate your comeback on Wine with Weta and on 16th of December, celebrating 14 years since your circumstances. Thank you for being a guest on Wine with Weta, and I wish you all the very best on your life and your podcast too.
thank you. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. And for everyone else, another remarkable episode of Wine with Weta will be brought to your ears really soon. Take care, everyone. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Wine with Weta. I hope you found some new inspiration, learnt something new, or gained a fresh perspective. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd be so grateful if you please leave a 5-star review, as it really helps the show get in the ears of new listeners, plus it takes 5 seconds. If you're keen for more strategies and insights, then head over to Instagram and follow RS Speech Pathology.